Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nitin Gajria, Managing Director for Google in Africa. I've been living on the continent now for over the past 3 years with my family, and it's been an incredible pleasure and privilege to discover so many amazing things about this diverse continent. One of my observations has been that small businesses are truly the heartbeat of Africa. In fact, 90% of all businesses on the continent are small and medium-sized enterprises. 2/3 of the labor force belong to the small and medium enterprises as well. 54% of the GDP of various countries, up to 54% of the GDP of countries, is determined by small and medium-sized businesses. The incredible part here is 60% of these businesses are women-owned. This is one of the highest percentages we see anywhere in the world. Now, while we see incredible business ownership numbers, there are challenges that we need to solve. In fact, women-owned businesses, on an average, generate 34% lower profits than their male-owned counterparts. And this is truly down to the fact that we have significant gaps in terms of access to capital. We have significant gaps in terms of access to technology and financial security. So there's much to be done in this space to close these gaps. And which is why today I'm incredibly delighted, and to be honest, a little bit nervous, to be talking to Dr. Awele Elumelu, co-founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, for a discussion on how mentorship, sponsorship, and allyship can help support Africa's women entrepreneurs. Dr. Elumelu is also the chairperson of Avon Healthcare Limited, Nigeria's leading health insurance provider, and the founder and chairperson of Avon Medical, a network of full-service clinics and on-site facilities with presence in Lagos, Delta Rivers, and Abuja. As a director on the board of Heirs Holding, a family-owned investment company committed to improving lives and transforming Africa, Dr. Elumelu oversees the healthcare investments in the portfolio, where she focuses on expanding and enhancing access to quality healthcare and achieving universal healthcare coverage in Nigeria. Dr. Elumelu, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me. The pleasure is mine as well.
Let's kick off this conversation. You're a doctor, you're an incredibly successful business person, you're a philanthropist. Can you tell us about some of the specific moments? What are some of the watershed moments in your life that have shaped who you are today, that has created the path for you to be where you are?
Okay, so thank you very much again for this opportunity to, discuss with you at this time where we all recognize the importance of appreciating and acknowledging what women have done at this time, and finding ways to try and make sure there's more progress and more opportunities for women. So for me, it's been a long journey. So first of all, as you said, I am a medical doctor. And so that's the first place where I've actually had this chance to help, as it were, to offer that help that is needed. I mean, what better time than now, where we're just coming out of a pandemic, to show the significance of healthcare as it is. So that was the first thing for me, being my calling as a doctor and seeing the need for healthcare on the continent, especially. We know we continue to work to, one of our aims really is to try and make healthcare more accessible, quality healthcare more accessible. And the easiest way really was to go into what I already knew, as you said, which is the health insurance as well as the medical services. And this is one way that I have first tried to, because obviously we all know health is wealth. I mean, we all know that it's a saying as old as time. So this is one area that we feel is very important. But then the next thing is in the area of providing opportunities for the youth, for women on the continent. So, and this is where the foundation comes in. So, and this is the Tony Elumelu Foundation that I, together with my husband, set up. So we saw the need to create, as it were, fishermen and not fish. So the youth are very important. Women and girls, very important. They make up a large, Nigeria in particular, more than 60% of the country the youth make up more than 60% of the country. Likewise, women and girls make up more than about half of the percentage of any population. So this is one area we thought we could go into, empower people, and let them, give them the opportunity to contribute in a meaningful way towards developing the country, developing the continent, in a way that we all know is sustainable. So these are the two main things that drive what it is, whatever it is we're trying to do, healthcare, as well as the fact that we know that entrepreneurship is the most sustainable way of ensuring this development in Africa that we are all looking for.
I read somewhere an interview where you talked about leveraging the foundation to institutionalize luck. And I thought that was a really, really fascinating phrase. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean when you talk about institutionalizing luck?
So the Tony Elumelu Foundation, it's very interesting that you picked that up, because it's not so, a lot of people, there's a lot of, well, I call it godfatherism. Some people are not lucky enough to have this in their lives. So what we decided was we would commit the foundation, we would commit through the foundation our funds, as well as everything else we've put in place to ensure that we give people an opportunity. So the foundation's flagship program is actually this Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. And what this is like, it's a 10-year commitment to mentor, to fund, to train youths over a 10-year period. Initially, the foundation committed to 1,000 a year, but we noticed we knew there was a need, but then going into it, we realized we realized the more that there was a great need. And so we had other partners to come in with us. And this started in 2015, this flagship program. And what it is we open it up to all 54 African countries. We encourage anybody who has an idea, who has a budding business, a startup, to apply. And what we do is we select a certain number, the foundation selects some, and we have incredible partners who work with us, select a higher number, and we make sure that we mentor these entrepreneurs. We train them. It's a whole 12-week program, and they receive seed funding at the end of the training period. And what this is, as you said, it's just democratizing luck, because we don't know these people, they don't know us. These are just people who have an idea, who have a business, who have a hope in their business, a hope in the country. They want to contribute, they want to create jobs, they want to improve the economic situation in the country, in their countries and on the continent. So we throw it open. So they come in, and again, as I said, I don't know if I said, but it's sector agnostic. So anybody from any sector can apply. And they're selected totally at random. We have our partners, Accenture, that make sure it's a transparent process. And we do provide the seed fund at the end of the training period. But then, more importantly for some people, is even the training, the mentoring, because we recognize that in addition to the funding gaps, there's also the capacity gaps, there's the skills gaps. And so we provide all this. And in this way, this is just our way of trying to, to democratize luck, as we call it, and provide this. Between 2015 and now, we've actually had 15,000 entrepreneurs go through the system. So it continues to grow, because we continue to involve more partners, more people are beginning to see the effect, more people are beginning to see, the importance of it. And I'm happy to say it's growing.
What I find fascinating about the work that the foundation is doing is it's really sort of changing the concept of philanthropy from giving, just giving handouts, to investing in our youth, investing in entrepreneurs. So how did you land on this thesis of let's invest in entrepreneurs? Why entrepreneurs? Why small businesses?
Entrepreneurship, as I said, is it's the basis for sustainable growth. Yes, we can. That is not to say that grants are not important, but there's a limit to what grants can achieve. And we feel that if we felt, and that was why the program started, we felt that if we equip these usually it's the youth usually you will find in the applications. If they're equipped with the know-how, with the knowledge, with the capacity, with the training, and of course with the funding, then it's more long term. Then they're creating jobs themselves. We're creating opportunities for them, and they're creating opportunities for others. And it's a ripple effect, and it's a more sustainable effect because once they've learned it, once they're trained, they can pass on this knowledge, they can pass on the skills, they can pass on the opportunities. And so this is the thinking behind it. And it's just been it's amazing. So you create this, you invest this in this one person, and on their own they invest in several other people. As I said, creating jobs for other people, and the ripple effect continues, and the economic possibilities are endless once we set up this program.
It just creates a multiplier effect to creating
Exactly.
more opportunities.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Fabulous. Like I mentioned in the introduction, I've been living here for about 3 years, and one of the dichotomies that's really, really obvious is there is an incredibly high percentage of SMEs, excuse me, of SMEs that are owned by women. But at the same time, women have lesser access to capital. Women have lesser access to credit. Women have lesser access to technology. If you look at internet penetration among men versus women, there are significant gaps in those areas. It's obvious that there are problems to be fixed. It's obvious that change needs to happen. But what needs to happen to effect this change?
It's this was a focus for us at the foundation. So when this program started in 2015, in the very first set of applicants we had, women were only about 20%. And then we realized that we need to involve more women for all the reasons you've said. They have less access to capital, to technology. We know that most of them have this dual role of being the breadwinners as well as the caregivers in the homes. So we made a conscious effort to go out there to get more women to come on board, to take advantage of this opportunity. And so you will notice that over the next few years, the percentage of female applicants continue to increase. And right now we're at almost 50% female and 50% male. And interestingly, it's even most of our funds, about 70% of the funds paid out in the last year went to females. And I mean, this is not just due to the foundation alone, but due to partnerships like Google, which have been amazing. This is how we're able to support so many women, because Google came into partnership with us to promote more, making it possible for us to fund more women. And so it's been programs like that, deliberately targeting women, deliberately trying to bring in more women. So, I mean, we're completely appreciative of the support of all our partners like Google and of all those who work in the foundation, because it's a whole team. Everybody's committed to making sure more women come on board. Everybody's committed, and even the alumni, because in each country, we are, as I said, we're in 54 African countries. We make sure we set up hubs. And we make sure we bring out women who these women can relate to, those who've been through the program, some successful women in their communities. We bring them forward, and then with doing things like this, we've been able to increase the participation of women, increase the funding to women, and generally grow and encourage these women who are in this. Because as you said, about 60% of the SMEs are owned by women. And so we know that as we invest more in these SMEs, we're investing more in these women-owned businesses, and we're increasing their ability to generate these funds for themselves, their ability to become more economically independent, as well as developing the economies of their countries and the continent at large.
It's fascinating that you went from 20% of applicants being women to the more recent stat around 70% of deployment going into women-owned businesses. Yes. What are some of the initiatives? What are some of the interventions that you put in place that led to that transformation? Because that's huge.
The initial, even with the messaging going out there, we made sure with the advertising for the program, we made sure we included a lot of women. So women were able to see themselves in the people that were promoting this program. We made sure, right from even the foundation, we promoted a lot of females. Even I myself came out and did, I spoke more. So we had our CEO is a lady, so she did a lot as well. And we pushed forward a lot of the women on the teams. And as I said, even in the countries, we made sure that we highlighted the female entrepreneurs to the possible applicants, made sure they could see the possibilities in what these other female entrepreneurs had done. We made sure we highlighted other successful businesswomen, other successful female entrepreneurs in this. And it really did help. It was like a targeted marketing campaign towards women, as well as targeted funding. Even in the mentorship, we made sure that we increased female mentors in the program, because that's another thing that the foundation does. It's not just the training and it's not just the funding, it's the mentorship. We're very big on mentorship. And some entrepreneurs will actually say that this has been the most impactful part of the whole process. So even the female mentors, we made sure we brought on board more female mentors so that other females would feel more encouraged to come. And as I said, the funding as well. We had targeted funding. Those we were able to get partners who were able to commit funds specifically for women, like Google and others. We were able to commit funds specifically for women. So those were some of the ways we were able to grow the female numbers.
I guess it's that old adage of it's hard to be what you can't see. So giving
exactly.
Women-owned businesses examples of other women who have made it, who have succeeded,
Yes.
Is probably key. Beyond the stats and the numbers and figures, one of the things that I find when I sort of look at the impact that we're trying to create as a company within the communities that we operate in, what always inspires me is the specific stories, the human stories behind the numbers and figures. Could you share with us one or two stories of women-owned businesses that have seen an impact from the work that your foundation has done, and how that has inspired you to continue to do a lot more in the space?
Oh yes, it's been quite inspiring. There've been quite a lot of women who've done very well. In fact, one that comes to mind now is, funny enough, a South African lady. I think her name is Nele Nkolise is her surname anyway. I think that's easier for me to pronounce. So she's into medtech, and she's working on prosthesis. So we have both the limb prosthesis and I think the breast prosthesis as well. And there's a lot of technology that's gone into her own business. And having come into the foundation, one thing she talked about that really helped her was mentorship, and of course the funds as well. So her business has grown, and she's one of the people who really, sing about the advantages of the program. So she's very good. And there are lots of them in Nigeria. So there's the agric business is one area that agric field is one area that has a lot of women have done very well. A lot of people, and of course women as well. We have people who are into financial services. There's a lady in particular, Mama Money. She's into financial services. I think she took hers back to the grassroots. She's found a way to empower women in the communities. She's set up financial services and is able to encourage them to save, encourage them to have more access to finance through bringing them together. And a lot of this she too says she was able to achieve this through her mentors. A lot of them keep referring to their mentors. The funding they do appreciate, but then they keep referring to their mentors. It's been so impactful having those people guide them through their businesses. So there's so many stories like that of different women who have been so grateful.
You've talked a lot about mentorship. We talk about sort of mentorship, sponsorship, and allyship as three distinct yet equally important ingredients.
Yes.
What's your view on that? You've talked about mentorship. What's the role of mentorship in the foundation's work, and how do you see the role of sponsorship and allyship as well in your work?
It's wonderful that you bring that up, because I think the three of them are really important. And the good thing is that at the foundation, we do all three. So as you said, I've talked a lot about mentorship. We depend so much on our mentors. We have over 5,000 active mentors as we speak. And we continue to look for ways to grow them. And this is mentorship, as we all know. It's just devoting that time, devoting your time, your knowledge, and being able to help impact this into the entrepreneurs, your resources, because it is quite demanding for the mentors to be able to do this. So that's the mentorship. For the funding, for sponsorship, I mean, this is the financial aspect. And for us at the foundation, we do this as well. We're committed to providing seed fund of $5,000 for every entrepreneur who's successfully selected, because we always have hundreds of thousands apply, but there is a limit to what can be sponsored. So the foundation alone has committed to 1,000 a year, but then we have increasing number of partners who have allowed us, as I said, to do up to 15,000 since the program started in 2015. But each applicant or each entrepreneur is provided this seed fund of $5,000. So that's the sponsorship. And then the allyship, I mean, that's basically partnership. This is where we partner with the women. We give them a voice. We make it possible for their voices to be heard. We give them opportunities for them to be heard, for them to be seen, for them to grow their businesses. And we do this as well. We tend to provide opportunities for the women. We connect them. We have a platform, an amazing platform which we've set up at the foundation. This is called the TEF Connect. And on this platform, it's an amazing platform. We like to say that this platform is the largest online entrepreneurship platform on the continent, because what it is it brings together entrepreneurs as well as possible mentors, as well as possible sponsors, all on one platform, all in one space. And so through this and through other means, we're able to give the women more opportunities. We're able to give them opportunities to showcase their businesses. We're able to give them speaking opportunities. We're able to give them opportunities to connect and, market their products and form strong connections, and as well as attract possible funding for their businesses. So these are things we do. We partner with them. We make sure that we create these opportunities for them to find a way to change whatever it is, to change the stereotype, basically, to give them more opportunities to develop their businesses, to scale their businesses, to even take their businesses off the ground. Because mentorship, as you said, is one thing, the funding is one thing, but creating these opportunities for them to come out and speak and be seen and be heard, that's something that the foundation does as well.
Thank you for sharing that. I grew up in India, and my mother grew up in a very patriarchal society. And over the years, as I grew older, I saw the impact of that patriarchy that it had on my mother and the opportunities it sort of robbed her of. I suspect that there are a lot of young women who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, but are also cowed down by, like you said, gender stereotypes and social norms, and other challenges around sort of access gaps that we've just talked about. What would your advice be to these young women who might be tuning in to watch this conversation?
It's a real challenge, especially in these are areas, especially in some parts of our country, especially in some parts of the continent. It is a big challenge, but it's one that we can only continue to each of us do what we can do. We can continue to advocate for the importance of giving women that equal opportunity. As I said, women make up half the population of the world, and so they need the same opportunities as men. Can only continue to advocate, try to educate people on the benefits of developing the woman, and therefore developing the community as a result of the fact that we develop the woman. So that on its own is something we can only continue to do. And then for the women on their own, we have to continue to encourage the women. We have to continue to provide these opportunities as we're trying to do now. But the women as well, we need to believe in ourselves. We need to find a way to, I always say, I think if we identify that thing it is that we think we love, that thing it is that we think we want to do, one thing I think we should always aim to do with it is to solve a problem, is to so a lot of time we want to do something maybe for the sake of making money or one thing or the other. But I think one thing we need to sit down in a quiet moment is yes, this is my passion, this is something I would like to do, but more importantly, how can I solve a problem? How can I identify a need? What can this thing I want to do, what problem can I solve? And I think in doing that, we will find that as we're doing this to try and solve a problem, solve a need, eventually we will find doors opening, we will find the businesses growing, we will find the opportunities opening up. So I find that that really helps with whatever it is one wants to do. But also for women, I think it's important that we sometimes we want to we forget to look in our immediate networks. Sometimes we think that help can only come from far and wide. And I'm not saying it cannot, but I think it's also important to look within your immediate network, see if there are people there you can either work with or who can assist you. And those things, it may seem little, but I find that if we take time to do that, it tends to help. And then, of course, we can develop, there are a lot of international agencies who are there to help. We need to do more work as well. We need to try and go out there while we're exploring our networks. We also need to find a way to develop a way to be more resourceful ourselves, to be more, to find out more about what is out there for us. One other thing, that comes to mind as I speak is the importance of technology. It's whether we like it or not, we have to find a way, each woman should find a way to equip herself with more technological skills, because that's the way the world is going. And a woman can sit, I know there are funding issues, but we need to even start to get all women at every level to think along those lines. Because the things we can do, and COVID has shown us that's the things we can do from our own little spaces. I mean, it's unimaginable. So I think women need to find a way, companies as well, people as well need to find a way to help women to develop more along those lines of technology. Because if they can develop those skills, then it will help their businesses to grow. So I think those would be the things that I would have to say, to women who may be listening.
Alternately, if there are folks in the audience who want to get involved, either as a mentor or a sponsor, or or as an ally, or in any other way, what would your advice to those people be?
Oh, it's so important. It's so important for everybody to do their best to get involved, because it's only by working together that we can really truly, develop our communities, our countries, our continents. So one easy way for me, I mentioned TEF Connect. And I think because some people want to help, they don't know where to start. So yes, look around, try to find a way to help. But the one thing we do on TEF Connect, as I said, is this ecosystem where we bring together everyone. We bring the entrepreneurs, we bring those who are looking to mentor, those who are looking to sponsor. And mentorship is so important. I keep going back to mentorship. I'm sorry. I know funding is important, but a lot of people don't realize that they can give their time. They can give of themselves. A lot of people think, I don't have the funds, I can't help. But then you can help. TEF Connect, anybody who's willing to give of their time, give of their money, no matter how little, if you go onto TEF Connect, you will find a way to be able to help, to support. And I'm sure there must be so many other platforms out there that are similar, but at least if you start in one place, come into the community, could be through TEF Connect, could be through any other platform. And once you come into the community, you'll be amazed at how much you can do and how much information is out there, and how whatever little it is you can do will go a long way. So that would be one way for anyone who's interested in coming in to help, either to mentor, to provide allyship, to provide funding. That would be one way for them to come on board.
Thank you. I have one last question for you, and I have to admit, this last question is really sort of for my own personal benefit. So I hope you will
Okay.
indulge me. Um, you're a, like I said earlier, you're a medical doctor, you're a philanthropist, you're a successful business person, but you're also a mother. I'm a father. I'm a father. I have two little boys, aged 3 and 6, and one of the things that I often think about is how do I instill the right values in these boys? And more specifically, how do I make them aware and more conscious of their role as allies as they grow up, their role in closing gender gaps as they sort of grow up and gain consciousness and so on. What tips do you have for me to knock some good sense in these boys?
Well, first of all, I'm sure you're doing some things probably without even realizing it. But I think the first thing I think is to even be interested, as you've said now, to be interested in doing this, to be interested in making sure that the next generation are conscious and aware of the things that they should do in developing the community, in bridging the gender gap, in doing all that should be done, doing all that should be done. Because if we don't even think it, then we can't even pass it on. So that's the first thing. I think the other thing would be, as much as possible, to help them to see what we do every day. Because I think if we bring them into our lives as much as we can, then they see. And I think actions speak louder than words, indeed. Because we can say these things, but if they don't see it, it's more difficult. And so we here, my husband and I, we make sure we involve our children in what we do. We make sure they see what we do. And sometimes we're just amazed when they say certain things and we think, oh, you understand what we're doing or you understand the importance of this. So I think that's very important. It's sometimes we think they're too young for them to be part of the conversation. Even them just sitting there, probably when you're having some discussions or maybe some meetings. Thank God for technology. They can even listen sometimes to some of these discussions. So I think that really helps. And then, of course, they continue to tell them all that they need to know. But I think if it's one key thing, because most things we know, but one thing I think is involving them in what one does. It helps them understand and see firsthand the importance of all these things.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Elumelu. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful chat. I have
Thank you.
learned a lot from this chat. It has been an absolute privilege having this chat with you. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been my pleasure meeting you as well. And it's been a privilege for me as well meeting you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to chat with you and to just spend this time rubbing minds. Thank you so much.
Thank you.